Before the first thought forms, before the first breath echoes through the metal corridors, there is only silence. Not the natural kind, not the absence of sound, but a dense, observing silence. A presence disguised as emptiness. A silence waiting for someone to wake up. And then, he does. Elias opens his eyes to a dim, pulsating red light. It flickers like a weak heartbeat, barely illuminating the cold, metallic bay around him. Dust floats in slow motion, suspended in the stale air, as if even time itself has grown tired of moving. His body feels heavy, as though he hasn't used it in years. His breath trembles out of his lungs, echoing softly through the abandoned station. That single sound, his own breathing, feels like an intrusion. He tries to sit up. Pain radiates through muscles that seem unfamiliar, borrowed. He waits. He breathes, but nothing comes back to him. No memories, no name. No purpose. The emptiness inside his mind is almost as heavy as the silence around him. It's only when a distant metal panel creaks, far down some unseen corridor, that the truth hits him with quiet terror. He isn't alone. Or at least, the silence doesn't want him to think so. Elias scans the chamber, trying to piece together anything recognizable. Cold walls lined with inactive monitors, scattered tools lying where someone must have dropped them in a hurry, and a faint hum in the background. Weak, intermittent, like a machine taking its final breaths. He stands, unsteady, and feels the station beneath his feet. Old, abandoned, and yet somehow conscious of his presence. He searches his mind again, desperate for a memory, a face, a voice, a mission, but all he finds is void. A void that scares him more than the silence itself. Because somewhere deep inside, Elias knows one thing with absolute certainty. Whatever happened here, whatever erased his memories, whatever left this station in ruins, it wasn't an accident. And he is waking up exactly where someone, or something, wanted him to. Elias takes his first steps into the corridor, each footfall echoing longer than it should. It's strange, almost unnatural, as if the walls themselves are repeating the sound back to him a fraction of a second too late. A cold shiver crawls up his spine. He doesn't know why, but something inside him whispers that he should move quietly, that this place, this forgotten structure drifting in the void, is not as empty as it pretends to be. The air feels heavy, saturated with the echo of lives that once filled these halls. He can almost sense them, not in memories, but in the atmosphere, as if the station has absorbed their fears, their final moments, their last breaths. He continues forward. Lights flicker overhead, struggling to stay alive. Every time the darkness washes over him, he swears he sees movement in the corner of his vision, a shadow slipping out of sight, a shape dissolving before he can turn his head. His heartbeat quickens. He tells himself it's just his mind trying to fill the void where memories should be. But deep down, he knows that's a lie. Something is watching him. Not with eyes, but with presence. A soft whisper travels through the corridor, so faint he wonders if it came from inside his own skull. A breath of sound,
a syllable too short to decipher. Elias freezes. The whisper comes again, clearer this time, more deliberate. A single word. A name. Elias. He doesn't flinch. He locks up. Not out of fear, but of recognition. But how can he recognize a name he doesn't remember? How can a stranger's voice feel like it comes from a person he once trusted or betrayed? His pulse hammering in his ears, he turns slowly, expecting, hoping to find someone standing behind him. But the corridor is empty. Only the flickering lights, only the hum of dying machinery, only the silence returning to swallow the moment whole. He steps backward, unable to shake the feeling that something is just out of sight, matching his movements perfectly, like a reflection waiting for the right moment to step out of the mirror. For the first time since awakening, Elias feels truly vulnerable. Not because he is injured, not because he is lost, but because something in this station knows him, knows his name, knows his presence, knows he has awakened. And whatever it is, it has been waiting.
The deeper Elias walks into the station, the more it feels like he's navigating through the ribs of a long-dead creature. Everything is still, but nothing feels truly lifeless. Loose wires sway gently, stirred by currents of air that shouldn't exist in a sealed environment. Panels hang open like wounds. Scorch marks smear the walls, telling fragments of a story he can't yet piece together. He places his hand on the cold metal. It's trembling. Not enough to see, but enough to feel. Something in the structure pulses, like a dormant heartbeat trying to remember how to beat again. Elias pulls his hand back, unsure whether the sensation came from the station or from his own imagination. He reaches a junction where 3 corridors meet. The signs above them are partially burned, letters melted into shapes he can't decipher. But even without reading them, he senses something instinctive. One path feels colder, another feels heavier, and the third feels watched. He moves toward the one that seems the least threatening, though he knows deep down that none of them truly are. As he walks, his fingertips brush along scratched metal walls. Some scratches are small, erratic, random, but others look deliberate. Deep gouges carved by something desperate or determined. Shapes that resemble marks of resistance or warnings. A sudden vibration ripples through the floor, subtle but unmistakable. Elias stops instantly. For a moment, the station seems to breathe. Lights flicker in a slow, rhythmic pulse. Then, as quickly as it came, the sensation fades. Elias whispers, almost without meaning to, "What happened here?" The silence doesn't answer. It thickens. He steps into a large chamber and discovers an array of shattered consoles, chairs knocked over as if people fled in chaos. A cracked viewport reveals the endless stretch of space outside, stars drifting in slow arcs past the derelict hull. And yet, something is wrong. Dust covers everything in this room, thick layers untouched for what feels like years. But on the floor, cutting straight through the dust, is a trail of footprints. Fresh ones, human ones, leading deeper into the dark.
He kneels beside them, running a hand just above the disrupted particles. Whoever made these tracks passed through recently. Too recently. His pulse quickens. Is it the person who whispered his name? Someone who knows him? Someone who wants him alive? Or someone who wants him confused? He follows the prints with slow, careful steps, the silence tightening around him like a snare. For every new corridor he enters, the weight of the atmosphere presses harder against his chest, urging him caution, warning him that some truths should not be uncovered too quickly. Because the station may be abandoned, but someone or something is still here, and it has no intention of letting him walk freely. Not until he remembers why he was brought back.
Elias follows the trail of footprints into a narrow passageway where the lights flicker more violently, casting long, fractured shadows across the walls. The air grows colder, thinner, as if the station itself is holding its breath in anticipation of what he's about to see. Then, a soft click echoes above him. A projector embedded in the ceiling sputters to life, releasing a distorted hum that vibrates through the metal floor. Elias steps back, instinctively bracing himself. A hologram flickers into existence. Not a ghostly figure, not a message, but an image, frozen in time. A living room, warm lights, a woman laughing as she holds the hand of a child, a man entering the frame, smiling with a familiarity that twists something deep in Elias's chest. The man looks almost like him, not identical, but close enough to unsettle him. Same eyes, same posture, same faint scar near the jawline, except Elias doesn't have that scar. Or maybe he once did? The hologram glitches, warping the scene. The woman's face stretches, the child dissolves into static, and then everything collapses into darkness. Elias stands motionless, breath caught halfway in his throat. He doesn't know these people. He has never been in that room. But the moment the hologram appeared, a crushing wave of emotion hit him. Grief, longing, a sense of loss so deep it feels ancient. "How can I miss something I've never seen?" he whispers, though the question is not meant for the station, but for himself. He steps forward. Another projector activates. This time, the hologram shows a battlefield, soldiers running, firelight cutting through smoke, explosions shaking the ground. And there, in the midst of chaos, a commander giving orders with authority and calm precision. The commander is him, or rather, a version of him. Elias watches the hologram unfold with a mixture of awe and dread. The man moves with certainty, purpose, confidence, all things Elias no longer possesses. The scene shifts again, transitioning into a medical bay. The commander lies on a table, bruised and bleeding, but smiling weakly as someone tries to reassure him. "What happened to you?" Elias murmurs. Another glitch, another collapse into static. The corridor falls silent once more, but the holograms have left an imprint on him, a pressure behind his ribs, a whisper in his mind. These aren't memories. They're fragments, pieces of someone else's life. Pieces of a life that mirrors his own but is not his.
He continues walking, and more holograms trigger as he moves. A celebration, a painful farewell, a desperate sprint through the same station he's standing in now. And with each flicker of light, with each broken image, Elias feels reality tightening around him. If these are echoes of the past, why do they feel like warnings? Why do they feel like pieces of a story he was never meant to remember? And most unsettling of all, why does he feel the weight of a life that didn't clearly belong to him, yet fits him too perfectly to ignore?
The last hologram fades, leaving Elias standing in the dim corridor with a weight pressing against his chest. The quiet that follows feels different now, no longer empty, but charged, as if the station itself is waiting to see what he will do next. Ahead of him, a doorway cracks open with a hiss of stale air. Not fully, just enough to invite him in, or warn him to stay away. Elias steps forward. The room beyond is darker than the others, the lights barely functioning. Dust drifts in long strands, stirred only by the soft hum of machinery that clings stubbornly to life. In the center of the room, a single console blinks weakly, its display fractured like a broken memory. He approaches it carefully, fingertips hovering above the surface. The screen reacts to his presence. Lines of code scramble. Holographic shards coalesce. A figure begins to form, distorted at first, then stabilizing into clarity. It's him, older, tired. Eyes filled with a gravity Elias doesn't yet understand. The recording begins to speak. If you're seeing this, you've already realized something is wrong. Elias feels his pulse spike. The recording continues, voice strained, each word sounding like it was recorded in desperation. You won't remember what happened. That's by design. They wiped you clean. Not because you failed, but because you succeeded. Elias's breath catches. Succeeded at what? I couldn't allow them to take what I know, so I did the only thing I could. I locked the truth away, inside you. Elias steps back, shaking his head. Inside me? He whispers. The hologram nods, mirroring the confusion Elias feels now, but from a time before memory loss had eaten him alive. If you're awake, then they found me. They took everything they could from my mind, but what they couldn't extract, what they couldn't risk destroying, I transferred into you. Elias's throat tightens. Transferred? Like data? Like a backup? Like a replacement? The recording flickers, glitching. It isn't much time. The station's failing. And if they detect your reactivation, they'll come for you too. Elias tries to absorb the words, but the meaning slips between his fingers like smoke. Reactivation? Come for him? Truth locked away in his mind? The hologram leans closer, and though Elias knows it's only an image, he feels the weight of the older version's stare. You need to reach the central chamber, the recording says. Everything you've seen so far, the memories, the glimpses, the voices, they're fragments of my consciousness bleeding into yours. You are more than you think you are.
The lights flicker violently, casting the hologram into fractured pieces. "Find the core," it says in a breaking voice. "Find out who you were and why they needed to erase you." The projection collapses. The room goes dark again. Elias stands frozen, his mind racing with questions he's not ready to face. The truth isn't just hidden, it's embedded in him. And whoever took the original version of himself, well, didn't expect him to wake up again. The first truth is clear. Elias is not recovering lost memories. He is inheriting someone else's. Someone who might still be alive. Someone who might have orchestrated all of this. And now the station's silence feels different. Not observing, but listening.
The hologram's final words linger in Elias's mind long after the room plunges back into darkness. Find the core. Find who you were. The sentence loops in his thoughts like a pulse, steady and unsettling. He steps out of the chamber, and the station seems different now. Less like a tomb, and more like a labyrinth built with intention. Built for him. The walls groan softly, as if shifting around him, subtly bending him toward a destination he has yet to understand. He walks until the corridor curves into a dead end, where a massive door stands embedded into the wall. Unlike the others, this one is pristine. No scorch marks, no rust, no dust. It hums with a faint blue glow. A biometric seal. Elias approaches cautiously, half expecting an alarm to scream through the station, half expecting the door to remain inert, refusing him entry. Instead, as he steps closer, the glow intensifies. A panel slides open with a smooth, fluid motion, revealing a handprint scanner. The air around it warms, almost inviting. Elias hesitates. He doesn't know what waits behind this door. He doesn't know if he wants to. What if the truth buried inside him is worse than the emptiness he woke up with? The scanner emits a soft tone, almost impatient. Elias exhales, steadying himself, and lifts his hand. The moment his palm touches the glass, the station reacts. A shockwave of blue light bursts through the doorframe, racing along the seams of metal, illuminating the entire hallway in a brilliant flash. The walls vibrate. The floor hums beneath his boots. The scanner pulses like a heartbeat, syncing with his own. Then, a whisper. Not from the station, not from the air, from inside his mind. Access confirmed. The voice is his and not his. The seal clicks, locks disengage, and the colossal door begins to open. Cold white light spills out, sharp and sterile. A wind of recycled air rushes past him, smelling faintly of antiseptic and electricity. Nothing like the decaying corridors behind him. Elias steps inside. The chamber is immaculate, untouched by time. Transparent panels line the walls, displaying strands of encrypted data, names, numbers, genetic sequences, timestamps that stretch far beyond the day he woke up. But what strikes him most is the object at the center of the room. A medical pod. Sleek, sealed, intact. Its surface is smooth, reflecting the harsh white light like polished bone. He walks around it slowly, each step tightening the knot in his stomach. Something is written on the side, a sequence of characters, worn but readable.
Elias 01. His breath stops. He reaches out, tracing the letters with trembling fingers. This pod, this chamber, this biometric lock, they weren't designed to keep him out. They were designed to keep everything else away from him. Because this room wasn't a prison, it was a vault. And he was the key.
For several seconds, Elias can only stare at the pod, at the name etched onto its surface, at the quiet hum of machinery still holding on after all this time. A strange pressure builds in his chest, a mixture of fear and recognition, as if his mind is bracing for a truth that already knows, but refuses to accept. He circles the pod slowly, each step echoing in the pristine chamber. The sterile light casts his shadow across the smooth floor, long and distorted, merging with the shadows of machines he doesn't recognize, but instinctively understands. When he reaches the front of the pod, he sees it. A small viewing panel, frosted from the inside, but unmistakably hiding a silhouette. He hesitates, hand hovering just above the glass. A breath forms in his lungs, but never reaches release. He wipes the fog from the panel, and the world inside him tilts. There, lying motionless beneath the transparent shell, is a man. Not a stranger, not a soldier, not a figure from a distant hologram, but him. Older, more worn, marked by battles Elias doesn't remember fighting. The resemblance is undeniable, the same bone structure, the same angle of the jaw, the same faint indentation above the brow. But this version of himself carries the history Elias cannot access, scars across his chest, a deeper tension carved into his resting expression, a face that has seen too much. Elias steps back, suddenly breathless. No, this can't be real. But the truth stares back at him from inside the pod. The real Elias, the original, the man he once was, is lying dead, or near death, right before him. He presses his hand to the glass. The body inside doesn't move. A faint shiver runs through Elias's spine, the kind that only comes when reality fractures in front of you. Everything he has seen, every hologram, every whispered memory, every moment of recognition comes rushing together into a single horrifying possibility. He isn't recovering lost memories. He isn't reawakening from some trauma. He is waking in someone else's place. A replacement, a reconstruction, a version built to continue a war the original could not. A clone. His knees weaken, but he forces himself to stay standing. He leans closer to the pod, searching for any sign of life, movement, breath, anything. Nothing. Just the cold truth staring back. A datapad rests beside the pod, its screen cracked but active. As Elias reaches for it, it illuminates with a familiar voice, older, rougher, filled with resignation. If you're seeing this, then I didn't survive. Elias shuts his eyes. He didn't need the hologram to speak the next words. He felt them coming. You are my successor, not my shadow. You were created because they couldn't afford to let what I know die with me. You're not a mistake. You're the safeguard. The message breaks for a moment, static biting through. You may not remember the battles I fought, but you will finish the one that matters. The recording ends. Elias stares at the still body, the original, the template, the man he was designed to replace. And a thought rises quietly, painfully inside him. If he is just a copy, does that make his existence any less real? The pod lights dim softly, as if bowing in mourning. Elias steps away.
The room feels smaller now, suffocating, as though the walls are closing in to remind him that the truth has a shape, and it looks exactly like him lying dead inside a machine. The silence no longer feels empty. It feels like inheritance. And Elias finally understands. The station isn't haunted by memories. It's haunted by him.
Elias stands in the center of the chamber, the cold light radiating off the pod, casting a pale glow across his face. He feels suspended between two versions of reality, the one he woke into and the one staring back at him through the lifeless eyes of the original. There's no more room for denial, no more comforting illusions. The truth has shape, weight, and a name. His name. A tremor runs down his arms as he steps away from the pod, breath shallow, mind racing in a spiraling mix of shock and reluctant understanding. He is not recovering from memory loss. He is not a survivor of some forgotten catastrophe. He is a construct, a continuation, a deliberate creation designed to fill the void left by the man who lies motionless in the chamber. His memories were never taken from him. They were never his to begin with. And now that he stands before the original, the fragments he witnessed, holograms of a family he never knew, battles he never fought, choices he never made, fall into place like shards of a broken mirror. He wasn't meant to remember them. He was meant to inherit them. A half-formed consciousness built on the template of a dying man, meant to carry on a mission that could not end with the original's death. Elias presses his palms against the edge of a terminal, struggling to steady the world tilting beneath him. "What am I supposed to be?" he whispers. The station responds, not with sound, but with a low, steady vibration, like a creature stirring in its sleep. Lights flicker with purpose now, patterns forming along the walls as if guiding him somewhere deeper. He realizes, with a sinking ache, that this place isn't abandoned. It's waiting. Waiting for him to accept what he is. Waiting for him to continue what the original could not. The datapad beside the pod blinks again, a final message appearing on screen. "Your purpose was never to replace me. It was to surpass me." Elias closes his eyes as the words sink in, cold and unforgiving. He isn't a shadow. He isn't a backup. He is the next step, the evolution the war demanded, the refinement of a soldier who pushed himself to the brink of death to ensure vital knowledge wouldn't die with him. And yet, in the hollow of his chest, he feels the ache of something painfully human, the desire to belong to a life that was never his. He takes a slow breath. Whether he accepts the truth or not, the reality stands untouched before him. The original Elias is gone, and the war expects him, this new Elias, to rise in his place. The silence in the chamber hardens into a boundary, a threshold, because now he understands the irrefutable truth. The man in the pod is not just his predecessor. He is the ghost Elias will forever be compared to. And the station is no longer a tomb. It is a beginning, a birth chamber, a forge, one built for him.
The chamber falls into a tense stillness, illuminated only by the faint glow of the datapad beside the pod. Elias stares at the screen, unable to shake the weight settling in his chest. Every revelation so far has chipped away at the person he thought he was, until little remains but questions and the echo of a life that isn't his. The datapad blinks again. A new message auto-loads. This one is longer, encrypted, deliberate. Elias hesitates before pressing play. The screen flickers, struggling to stabilize the image. The recording shows the original Elias, older than the holograms before, exhausted and visibly wounded. His uniform is torn, stained with soot and dried blood. His breathing comes in shallow bursts, but his eyes, they burn with purpose. If this message is playing, then I didn't make it to extraction. Elias feels his heartbeat thud against his ribs. I knew they would come for me. I always knew. But I couldn't let them have what's in my mind, not after everything we sacrificed to obtain it. The message glitches, then realigns. That's why I made you. The words land like a blow, not surprising, yet devastating. You are not a copy. You are a continuation, a refinement, a vessel strong enough to hold what they were trying to steal from me. He leans closer to the camera, and Elias instinctively mirrors him without meaning to. You were created because I failed, because I couldn't carry the truth any further. But you, a sad, hopeful smile appears for a brief second. You are unburdened, untamed, capable of more than I ever was. The recording shakes violently, as if the station were under attack during the moment it was filmed. The original braces himself, coughing, blood streaking his lips. He says, "You need to listen carefully. Inside the core of this station is a data construct. My memories, my knowledge, everything I uncovered about the enemy. They weren't after me. They were after what I discovered." He wipes sweat and blood from his brow. "If they get it, the war is over, and not in our favor." Elias grips the datapad tighter. "You must retrieve it, but know this. Once you access the core, you won't just learn the truth." His gaze hardens, almost pleading. "You will become it." Static crackles across the screen. The original's voice distorts, warping into a desperate whisper. "I made you because I believed humanity needed a second chance, even if it wasn't me who delivered it." The image begins to collapse. "Don't let my death be the end of the story." A final glitch, a flicker of sorrow or pride in his eyes. "Finish what I couldn't." The screen goes black. Elias stands frozen, fingers trembling around the datapad. The silence that follows feels heavier than any before, like a mantle settling onto his shoulders. Not a command, not an obligation, but an inheritance. The final message from the man he was meant to replace or surpass. Elias looks toward the sealed doors leading deeper into the station. Ahead lies the core, the truth, and the transformation the original warned about. For the first time since waking, Elias feels something new rising within him. Not fear, not confusion, resolve. Whatever awaits in the depths of the station, he knows one thing. He is no longer walking towards someone else's fate. He is stepping into his own.
The corridor beyond the biometric chamber feels different now, charged, alive, as though the station recognizes Elias not as an intruder, but as the heir to everything buried within its dying walls. The lights no longer flicker aimlessly, they pulse in a deliberate rhythm, guiding him toward the heart of the structure. The core, the place the original Elias died protecting, the place where the truth waits for its next vessel. Elias walks with newfound steadiness, though the weight of the datapad in his hand feels heavier with every step. The words of the original echo in his mind. "You won't just learn the truth, you will become it." A chill settles over him, not of fear, but of inevitability. When he reaches the final door, the station reacts instantly. The walls shift, locks disengage, and a low, resonant hum vibrates through the floor. The massive door opens with a slow, almost ceremonial motion. Inside lies the core chamber. A towering cylindrical structure stands at the center, glowing with swirling data streams, bright, fluid, alive. The air crackles with energy, thick enough to taste.
Every instinct in Elias tells him to step back, but something deeper pulls him forward. He approaches the cylinder, and the lights brighten in response, as if recognizing his presence. Fragments of memories flash across the surface, battles, star systems, faces, secrets, moving too quickly for him to process. They swirl like a storm of truths. The original Elias's voice echoes faintly, not from the datapad this time, but from within the core. This is what they wanted. This is what they feared. Elias places his hand on the interface. The chamber erupts in light. A surge of data, powerful, overwhelming, flows through him. His legs buckle, but he forces himself to stay upright. Images crash into his mind, strategies of war, hidden betrayals, alien technologies, the devastating revelation that sparked everything, knowledge the enemy would kill to possess. He gasps as he sees the moment the original discovered the truth. He feels the terror, the urgency, the decision to create a successor. A flash. The original looking at the cloning chamber, whispering, "Let him be more than me." Another flash. The enemy breaching the station. Another. The original sealing himself inside the pod, preparing for the end, recording his final message. Elias cries out as the influx intensifies, painful, transformative, illuminating. And then, silence. A silence different from the one he woke to. Not observing, not waiting, but acknowledging. When he opens his eyes, the core's glow has dimmed. The station is still. The data streams have vanished into him. He is no longer empty. He is no longer uncertain. He is no longer merely a continuation of a dying man's legacy. He is something new. Someone new. A soldier not defined by birth or memory, but by purpose. He steps back from the core, breath steady, posture grounded. The station, now finally at peace, begins shutting down around him. Its mission is complete. Elias walks toward the exit, not as a ghost of the past, not as a failed experiment, but as a beginning the enemy will never expect. A soldier without identity in their systems, a weapon without history to trace, a mind carrying the truth no machine could extract. The forgotten soldier, the one who was never meant to be remembered, only to change the fate of the war. And as he enters the docking bay, grabbing the suit and gear meant for the original, he speaks aloud for the first time with full conviction. "I am Elias, and I choose what happens next." The doors open to the vast expanse of space. A ship waits, a mission awaits, and in that moment, he is born.